On this episode of RVA Real Estate Talk, episode 11, we will be breaking down how to get leads as a new agent and how to convert those leads. We'll also be talking about something new and exciting we have coming on our YouTube channel.
You're listening to RVA Real Estate Talk with Jared Davis and Galen Parker, your source for an honest, insightful look into Central Virginia's real estate market. Combined, Jared and Galen have over 20 years sales experience, as well as hundreds of testimonials from clients past and present who rely on them for advice and assistance when buying and selling homes in today's incredibly hot and competitive real estate market. And now, your hosts, Jared Davis and Galen Parker.
I am Jared Davis.
And I'm still Galen Parker.
That's right. Can you believe we're actually back 1 week since the last week?
I am more impressed with the fact that we were able to find time in our schedules for us to be in the same place in 2 consecutive weeks. That's what's impressive.
I mean, we were doing this
work-wise. I feel like we normally would have seen each other recreationally every day of the week if we could.
Yeah, I mean, pre-corona for sure.
Pre-corona.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this podcast like monthly, but it really is getting to the point we need to do it weekly. So that is going to be the plan to be generating content for you guys, whether you're a realtor, an investor, if you just like listening to me and Galen banter back and forth.
Velvety voice.
You got the radio voice.
No,
not
you
me.
got the radio voice.
Radio
Stop it. You're too much.
Oh, man.
So what's new with you, Jared?
Still waiting on that belly rub from last week, maybe.
I hope everyone goes back and looks at that reference. There's been like so many people that have been like, what? Belly rub? And I was like, you're reading it out of context. You've got to understand man's best friend. But then everyone I talk to who's a dog owner, they're like, oh, yeah, that's really sweet. That's really touching.
Go back and listen to episode 10. But in reality, last week we talked about you and your best friend that wasn't me,
right?
Magnus,
right?
That's his vehicle. You
That's
didn't
right.
realize that if you haven't listened. It got destroyed.
Magnus is gone. 2005, the best year for the Nissan Xterra by far.
Yeah.
He's out of here, ladies and gentlemen.
So what's the new ride?
This has been like a crazy experience buying this car, but we replaced Magnus with Winston. Winston is a Acura MDX, which prior to having Magnus, I had Collinsworth.
Okay.
Collinsworth was an
the
Acura
best car
CSX. I give a lot of thought to like what they will be doing, their personalities. So I had Collinsworth. That was an Acura CSX. Love that car. Sold it to a young man in Roanoke, Virginia. Did I tell you that story?
Mm-mm.
So I put that car on like Craigslist, get a hit, but you get like 50. If you've ever sold something on Craigslist, it's kind of like the Wild West because you get like 80 people. They're like, "Can I just rent your car for 4 years?" And it's like, "What? That's not a thing."
They're like, they want owner financing on like an old used car.
I only want to drive it on Wednesdays. How much would that be? I'm like, "That? What are you talking about?" So I sold it to a guy from Roanoke. He shows up, young guy. I mean, he had to be like 19 or 20. I think I sold the car for like $13,000. He showed up with a JanSport backpack full of cash.
Was it the full amount?
Full amount.
Yeah.
There was no like, oh, I got, $11,000 cash, we'll take it. He was like, oh, I got all of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And I was like, that's odd. But I was like, let's go to the bank. And he's like, well, is that where the title is? I mean, what? I thought you had the title. I'm like, yeah,
why do we need a bank?
Yeah, exactly.
What are we doing?
I was like, oh, I've got the title. I just don't have the time to count manually, $13,000 cash. I was like, they've got a machine where they just count it for you. He's like, oh. Okay, and he had his buddy with him. Both of them looked super like worried when I said we're going to the bank. They're like, "What? Huh? FDIC tax records." So I was like, "All right, take it easy.
That's right.
It's gonna be okay."
No paper trail on your end. Just mine.
You've been watching Breaking Bad a little too long. It's all good. So we did that. They test drove it for like 10 minutes. It was like a 6-speed manual, so he was just like burning it up and down Hull Street. It was just like laughing and giddy, and I'm like, just don't. Actually, I was like, don't wreck it. Then I was like, actually, I don't care if you wreck it.
As long as I have the money.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wreck it all you want. Keep your cash.
Exactly.
So that was Collinsworth. So I'm back in the Acura family.
Okay. How does it feel? You don't seem excited.
Everyone says that. I'm not as excited.
I'm so disappointed.
Like, I was telling you today I went to the store. I was driving past the glass fronts. I have this picture of myself in Magnus. Magnus had like big, like high profile tires. They're like rugged. It was all blacked out. The tinted blacked out. Everything was like the red calipers. And I was like,
Magnus was Galen in car form.
I mean, it really was. I was just like, it's loud. And then now the Winston, it's just like, hello, sir. Very proper, sophisticated.
You feel like you're driving your wife's car around.
A little bit. It's like everything's like leather, and there's like the GPS and my iPod's in there, and there's like a guy like rubbing my shoulder, like not my iPod, my phone, my iPhone. I have a vintage iPod.
Let's go back. He's driving. My iPad Touch is in there. I prefer the mini. Yeah,
I've got a record player in there. No, so I've got like I said that because when you connect your iPhone, the screen says iPod because I don't know, that's what it does. So it's like it's nice, it's plush, and I feel kind of like I feel kind of wimpy.
Okay,
but I feel very classy.
Does it have 3 rows in that car?
It does. It fits 7.
Nice.
If I chose to do that, I will never do that.
I mean, we're not driving anyone around.
I probably won't ever put more than 2 people in that thing. Let's be honest with ourselves. But
I mean, with Corona, no one's driving people around right now.
Exactly. I'm not Uber. I'm just a regular dude. Kat and I will be in there. Maybe after Corona, me, you, Kat, and Jackie will go up to the vineyard and get some more peaches.
Oh my God, that'd be so good.
We never talked about the peaches. We'll talk about that another day. What is that place called?
Chili's.
Chili's? Is it Chili's?
I'm pronouncing it wrong if it's not.
Charlottesville, Mike?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, everyone knows Carter's Mountain.
Carter's Mountain.
Everybody's like, everybody. But not everybody.
I didn't grow up here like you guys.
but I'm from Long Island.
Apparently not everybody knows Chili's. Chili's is awesome. It's a peach orchard, and you do the exact same thing as you do at Carter Mountain, but with peaches.
With peaches.
But they have apples, too.
They do have apples. It's the most glorious thing in the world. I total went nerd over some peaches.
When's the season?
Right now,
I think.
Yeah, we
went a month ago.
I went 2 weeks ago, and we made peach cobbler or peach.
How many peaches did you buy?
What do they? There's a name for a bag of peaches.
Bushel?
I didn't realize. No, it's a
bushel.
Bushel. Can we get
What's
a
the big? The big donkey's a
search?
bushel. I got a half a bushel, and
it's not a bushel
of peaches, and I ate probably like 4 peaches a day for like a week. But then I gave them to like 9 different families.
Are they like good size ones? Or
they are. They're incredible, and it's like when you bite into it, it's like someone just splashed water of peach all over your face. Man, it's just like dripping down your chin. You need like a bib. It's ridiculous.
You need a bib to eat their peaches. You got to give them like 2 or 3 days to ripen. If you try to be like the cheap person that like eats them off the tree, like you want to do it
like we went and they had some harder ones, and then she was like, well, we've got some in the back that are a little more ripe. I'm like, yes, bring those.
I like the harder ones. I like the crunchy.
That's what my wife said. What are y'all, serial killers? That's super weird.
I
like when things are appropriate to eat. So
yeah, like juicy, ripe. Like when they're
I like a banana a little more riper than normal.
I don't eat bananas.
I don't like bananas either. I'll eat them, but I don't enjoy it.
I like banana flavored things, not actual bananas.
I'm with you. I agree 100%.
My wife thinks there's an enzyme in them that makes me sick when I eat them. So that's a long story.
You're allergic to a lot of things.
I am allergic to a lot of things.
He can't eat shellfish, which
is ironic because where do we just go?
Red Salt.
We just went to Red Salt.
I love Red Salt.
Magnifique.
Have we done a food review on Red Salt?
We haven't.
Okay.
We never did.
That is my by far favorite place in town.
Yeah,
and I ate one of the rolls that had the salmon in it, which was delicious.
We did.
Or no, it was the imitation crab meat.
You just had a California roll. That's all it was.
The Black Russian roll is like my favorite.
I like the Hulk, and I like everything. They do. Are we doing a food review right now?
Let's just talk about it.
I mean, I've eaten everything. I've eaten everything on the menu.
Let's not limit ourselves.
So the tuna, the ahi tuna, they do like a tuna tartare, and essentially it's on like.
You know how I feel about tuna.
That's right. That's like podcast episode 7 or 6, something like that. So they do like a wonton, like a chip, like a nacho, but it's like a tempura nacho.
Okay.
And then they take like ahi tuna and they mix it in with like guacamole. It's almost like avocado. It's like a blend with wasabi, so it's got like a little spice going on. They do a little fish roe on top, and it's incredible. Have to get it. Now I get it every time I go.
No, nice.
And then these are just the appetizers. And then they do a salmon with a black truffle, like ponzu sauce on top.
That's really good.
Have you had that? Man,
that's good.
What were you eating the other day? Where like Mike Henry, Mike's another member of our team.
But he ate it all.
Mike like grabbed it and like messed it all. It was like such a beautiful presentation. It was delightful to the eyes.
It was like on the radish.
And he just like grabs like it was like driven like it looks like a crime scene. scene now.
That's not the Mike, not me.
Not that Mike.
This is Mike Henry.
That's Mike
Big
Henry.
Mike.
Yeah,
Big Mike.
it's like on radishes all nice, and he just grabbed all the radishes and just ate them. He's like, man, these radishes are good. And I was like, all right, well, now that I have
That was like the
all
funniest
my
thing I've
fish
ever
is like
watched.
flopped over in the bowl.
I was like, all right, there you go there.
Their steaks are awesome though too. Their sushi and a chop house. If you're gonna get the steak, go.
And
for
this is something I didn't know. Jared, you tell them about the way the owner has the menu with the other restaurants.
So this happened.
Kind of cool.
This happened post Corona. Essentially, once they had to go to delivery and pickup. Now they're back open fully. But when they did that, they own a lot of other restaurants in town. It's the Eat Restaurant Group. They've got PBR of Richmond and Hot Chicks and Fatty Smokes and Boulevard Burgers and Food Dog and Osaka and you name it, Wild Ginger, they've got it. So what they started doing was they started doing Red Salt, Fatty Smokes, and Hot Chicks menus all out of the one location. So that way, if you're going to do pickup for someone like me who loves sushi, but it will kill Galen, he's able to get a Hot Chicks sandwich at the same time.
I'm always getting the Hot Chicks.
But now they've just left it that way. So we went for lunch the other day, and you had a Hot Chick sandwich
And
while
a
we ate
California
sushi.
roll.
And a California roll. Yeah.
I love it.
I
I like
just
when stuff like that happens.
just
I'm like,
mix it all up.
And sometimes when you see like combinations, like something goes bad, and they're like, but this was like everything was still very good.
No, it's
like,
great. And then they've
had
got
not
Wong's
diminished.
Tacos across the street now. So really, you can get like 4 of their establishments
we need to
right
go there,
within 2.
I like a place. I'm not too crazy about the service on the taco place.
At Wong's? I haven't been yet. Did you
Haven't
go
been
like
yet,
right
yeah.
after they opened, or have they been?
No, it's like 2 weeks ago. I went.
Wow.
So.
Okay. Well, we'll try it. I mean, shout out to Chris Sway and Staples and all those awesome guys running it. We will check it out and see.
Absolutely.
Maybe that'll go on a restaurant review. All right. Are we ready for the deep dive?
Born ready.
Let's do it. Deep dive. All right. What are we talking about today, Galen?
Today we're going to kind of talk a little bit about lead generation, and then what after you get the leads, what do you do with them? Because that's it's I don't want to say it's easy to get leads because that's a different discussion itself because you got to get leads. But now that you got them, all right, well, what are you gonna do? How do you follow up? And so we're gonna kind of dive into that a little bit. And there are certain things, especially I would say people in our age group, our generation, that they don't like doing, and we're going to talk about that as well.
Yeah, that's a good preface. Yeah, so I mean, we've got I think 12 agents now on the team, something like that, and we keep building. People keep calling us all the time and
I've only
hopping
made
on.
like 4 of them.
I mean, EXP, we do get EXP calls all the time, and I'm like, well, come on board. It's incredible. So with that being said, we've had a lot of new agents that are getting their license. I think with Corona, people have also, and people were always jumping into real estate, but with Corona, I've had so many people call me and say, I think I'm ready for a job change. What about real estate? That's like, I think what everybody thinks. I don't have to go to college for 4 years, and I like HGTV. Let me do this. The flip side of that is that we get a lot of new agents, and every new agent just has no idea what to do when they start. That is, I think, the most monumental thing when we bring somebody on the team, why they need a team or they need a good broker, they need guidance, because they're sitting there and they have their license and they have MLS access, and now they have no idea what to do with it.
It's all shiny. They got their license.
Yeah.
Now what do I do?
I mean, they've been like fighting for like 5-6 months to pass their test, get everything trained, and then they get everything done, and then they're just sitting there like, I have no clue.
Now it all begins, right?
So Galen, I've been at this for 7 years. Galen's now getting tenured. He's been in it a few years now. He's crushing it. You're newer than me, though. So
Sure.
when you started, what was the main lead gen thing for you think?
First, I want to start here is the fact that you have to kind of embrace the idea that as a real estate agent, you're a salesperson. And I feel like a lot of people are like, I'm a consultant. I'm a this. I'm that. I'm like, yeah, that's all great.
I'm a home specialist.
Yeah,
What is
exactly.
that?
It's like that. Very good. Very good. Home specialist, all these things. Salesperson. You have to, one, sell them on you and then sell their house. If you can't do those two things, you're going to be a home specialist. And that means you're going to be at home all the time. So you got to really embrace the fact that you got to be able to sell those two things you got to do. And then sales for any job, it's a grind. You have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined in your own mind and your own finances. So you've got to kind of think, all right, so what is my day going to be like? And whether you are a person who likes to wake up early in the morning,
Nope.
you can do that. Maybe I like to wake up a little bit earlier than probably most people and start up. Or maybe you say, I don't like waking up. Well, then you got to make those calls after 5 because, that's when people are home. So it's a grind. So you got to embrace that mentality. Say, listen, I'm a salesperson. I got to sell something.
Yeah, so we have.
I feel like it's like you're starting your business. You're a business person.
It is 100% your own
You know,
business.
And I mean, I'm saying this as if I didn't know anything about real estate, but that's pretty much you are taking your name and branding it to be a business.
100%.
You have to tell everyone you're a salesperson, that you're in real estate.
Yeah. So you're, like you said, you're selling yourself and then you're selling houses. Selling yourself is probably first. That's where the networking and lead gen comes in, I guess. But
absolutely.
At the end of the day, we get people that say, well, I don't have that much budget, or what do I do if I have this much budget? What are my options? I would say number one thing for a new agent that has no money whatsoever, I'm going to throw open houses out there.
Right.
Galen, thoughts?
Right. I say do all the free stuff. Open houses, it's not, I mean, I guess if you pare it down, it's not really free, but it's low cost because you
free
enough. Yeah, exactly. It's free enough.
It's going to cost you gas and some signs, maybe some waters or
There's
something.
Some small investment things in there, but that's always a good one because one, it puts you out there, it gives you something to promote, and then you're actually out there. To me, something to promote is almost as good as actually doing the open house.
Yeah.
And here's why I say that is because you can say, well, I'm going to be an open house this Saturday. Come on through. People say, oh, I didn't know they did that. Oh, so they start, you kind of get an idea of all the things that go into. What are the things you have to think about with doing an open house? Well, you have to be very knowledgeable of the property. Because people are going to start asking, oh, well, when was it built?
Or you text me your entire open house on my listing and ask me questions.
I
get that too. Agents text me like all day at my open houses. I let my agents run opens on my listings because I normally don't. So then, they run it. And
when was this house built?
Yeah, exactly.
How many square feet?
Exactly.
How many bathrooms?
Is there heat?
I'm like, just look around.
Is there
you can see
a
the
heat
bathrooms.
pump? Yeah, look outside.
Is
Look
there
at
central
thermostat.
air? I'm like, I don't know. Are you hot?
Yep.
Yeah.
I do that a lot.
So it gets you in the practice of knowing houses. I always tell people go to, and this is something I learned from another agent. He goes early in the morning, like 7 in the morning. He puts up all his signs if he can't do it the night before. He drives the neighborhood just to get a feel for it, so that when it comes to the open house, oh man, people are out walking. You just all these little conversational things. So people inevitably will ask you questions. Some of them you can't answer. Some of you can't because you'll violate, your ethics. But, people want to know, what do you know about this neighborhood? And so you want to be able to say, oh, well, when I was driving in, so have an idea, be prepared to do things like that.
Yes. When I worked in BMW and
Mike bought BMWs.
Yeah, the general manager, who was pretty much took me under his wing, him and I would walk the lot every single morning, 7 a.m. So we knew exactly what was on the lot and what was happening, and then what was going through, like, to get done in the shop and whatnot. So anybody that walked in and immediately knew what the day was and what car they had and color and all that stuff.
So here's the thing with an open house. Nowadays, sometimes my agents say, well, I did this open house and no one came. Other times we do open houses and 65 people will show up. So it's hit or miss. You're not always going to have some home run open house. But here's the thing. If 10 people come into an open house regularly, there's a pretty good shot that 10 of those people are looking to buy a house, right? You may get some neighbors, but then you have good marketing to the neighbors because now you have a listing that's there. Sometimes it's even good to knock the doors in the neighborhood and just let people know, hey, we've got an open house going on tomorrow or this afternoon. Don't be alarmed if you see a lot of traffic coming through. Feel free to come in and stop by and check out the house if you want.
That's my favorite one.
Right? Because then you've already got the listing.
I love doing that. I knock in there. Hey, listen, I just want to apologize up front. There might be some extra traffic on your street. If they're parking in front of your house, I'm so sorry. If there's an issue, please let me know. And people are like, oh, thank you so much for telling me that. You make goodwill with your neighbors. And then we did that. I never remember the names of streets of stuff. The house we did a while ago where tons of neighbors came and they were all apologizing. We're a neighbor. And I said, neighbors sell houses.
But was that the condo over on like Hamilton that all the neighbors were coming through?
It might have been. No. This one was in Smoke Tree. Smoke Tree, yes.
We sell a lot of houses.
Yeah,
guys.
so the neighbors all came through and they were like, "Oh, so sorry." And I said, "Neighbors sell houses. There's no one going to be able to articulate the neighborhood better than the neighbor, the person who's living there. They'll do a better job than I do." I said, "So if you've got a friend or a family member," I said, "Phil, come on in. If you know someone, let them know. Here's my card. Here's my number." And they're like, "Oh yeah." And I've gotten calls from people say, "Hey, my my sister-in-law, she lives 2 doors down. She said this house. I just wanted to get some more information. Generally, I say, well, it's pending, but and I just kind of talk to them that way. But yeah, talk to your neighbors. That's the easy way to get yourself out there, get your face out there. That's why open houses are so important. I would like to do more of them, but houses are just flying off the.
Yeah, a lot of times they are sold before you even get to the open house day, unless you're waiting for offers. But that is one of those things where you, as
open houses
from conversion, you have to know your numbers. So you may say, well, I need 50 contacts a month. For each 50, I get 1 deal out of, right?
Right.
You have to know the numbers, because the thing is, with an open house, you can maybe get 50 contacts at an open house, and maybe out of those 50, 35 to 40 could be looking for houses, and out of that 35 to 40, maybe 20 of them already have realtors, right? You get a lot of that. But now you're left with 10 to 15, and those are 10 to 15 that if you can get them qualified and you stay on top of them, they could be good deals, right? That's out of 50. But on the flip side, I could give Galen 100 cold leads to go call that we have no idea if they want a house. Maybe they registered on our website. Right. Maybe they, whatever it may be, right? Maybe he's just dialing a neighborhood because he wants listings in that neighborhood. Out of that 100 people, the chances that those 100 are looking to buy a house is far slimmer, right? So that's where knowing the numbers is crucial. I think for every 100 cold calls you make, it probably takes you 100 to get 10 on the phone. And out of the 10 that come on the phone, 9 of them.
How did you get my number?
Yeah, they want you to go kill yourself. And then there's that one that wants a house, right? Yeah. So, but see, that's the whole problem, because we also have a lot of agents that have other jobs. They're trying to get into there. They're trying to wean out, and that's cool. But one thing I always ask these agents is, how much time are you putting into your real estate business each week? And if things were turned and you put that much time into your other job, how much money would you make at your other job?
Would they fire you immediately?
Exactly, right? Because if you're thinking, I make 1 hour calls a week and I do an open house a month, well, that's 3 hours a month of work. So could you work anywhere for 3 hours a month and make money? No. So that's why, when it comes to conversion and lead gen, you've got to put in the time. You have to put in the effort. Last thing on open houses, how are you making sure that you can actually keep up with the people that you meet at open houses?
Good call. So there used to be people who have like paper sign-ins. They still have those. I don't use those. I use an app on my iPad, and so when they come, I say, hey, thank you, sir, for coming. Do you mind just signing in? The homeowner wants to, have a record. They sign in, type their little information in there. It saves it for me. Usually I do open houses on Sundays. That Monday, I call all those people.
Yep.
Notice the word I used. Call.
That's right.
All of those people.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
We call those people. But you definitely want to be able to keep track of all of those people, because granted, maybe not all of them, but it helps you. You're never going to know if you don't reach out and contact them.
Yes.
So, it's really important that you kind of focus on making sure that you can't convert them if you don't copy them down. That's
exactly.
You can't
so the way we run our system, I don't know if you have a CRM as a realtor. You may say, what is a CRM? That's just a client management application. So they have different ones out there. They have Boomtown, they have Sierra, they have KV Core, they have, I think, Tiger Tail, right? If it's close, if that's not the name, but at the end of the day, shout out if it's not, cool software name. So, anyways, I'm pretty sure.
Copyright. We're gonna trademark that.
That's it. I'm pretty sure that's it.
I think we just found our new segment name that we're gonna be.
No,
doing.
I think that actually is the name of the CRM. But
welcome to RVA Real Estate. Tiger Tail.
Well, so we talked to a lot of agents that actually have no CRMs,
which is
and
scary.
I don't know how you do it. Like, do you have a pen and a paper like a maniac,
Excel
or are you just writing?
Sheet.
Yeah, and I guess someone could use an Excel sheet.
I used to when I first started. I used a like numbers.
It's not bad if you're just like want a hot sheet. There's something about doing that to have like your top hot leads, or maybe you have a whiteboard and you write. There's nothing wrong with paper. There's nothing wrong with having a list that you look at each day.
This country is built on paper.
That's right.
That's something I used to tell people when I my other job.
Nowadays, reminders is, even if it's something you use your reminders. I use it all the time.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing: as you move forward in this business, what you'll realize is that when you had 10 leads, it was cool to keep up with 10 leads. When you have 3,000 leads in your database, it's now much harder to keep up and run through a list and remember who these people are. So the more software you can have that helps with these things, we use Sierra as a CRM, we use YLOPO, that gives us remarketing, it gives us leads. It actually has an artificial intelligence that will talk to people for us. The conversations are hilarious, but they convert and they work, So right. How are we getting internet leads these days, or what are some ways we can get internet leads?
Well, I'll list some. You can do Google AdWords.
Yeah.
You can do Facebook, which is Facebook is a very huge tool if you use it correctly.
Really, all the social media, right?
Yeah,
Throw Instagram in there. I mean,
I don't know about Twitter. I don't know how useful Twitter is.
TikTok's getting questionable these days, I think.
I know. It's like, TikTok ads, Did I just sell all my information to China? I don't know. But, using social media, even LinkedIn's very good.
Is it?
I find LinkedIn very good. I use that a lot because LinkedIn's one of the few...
Because he's the only realtor using LinkedIn.
I'm the only guy there.
Right. No one's here but
It's
me.
me and 70 guys trying to tell me how to convert on LinkedIn.
Right.
It's like, I can help you build your team. I don't need
First established 2002.
Yeah. So but here's the thing about LinkedIn when you think about it, because it does make sense, is that LinkedIn is one of the few social media platforms that businesses allow people to access. They don't allow you to access Twitter from corporate. All that stuff's blocked. But for some reason, LinkedIn is generally not blocked. And so when people are at home,
nothing fun to see.
Yeah, because there's nothing fun to say. But here's the psychology that I think about it. So a lot of let's just say there's a lot of often the mothers of the house they are looking at homes for sale online. They send that link to their husbands, and then he might pull it up somehow and look at it. Well, that's the only thing he has. But if I can kind of get to him, because there's a lot of guys on LinkedIn that's like, this is all we got.
Yeah.
This is the only thing. So if I can get their attention, when I look at my views and interactions, it is a lot, because there's like, this is all we got. So you put up like a little video, a little vignette, a little something that's humorous, talks about real estate. I get a lot of people emailing me like, oh my goodness, hey, real quick question. What's a good time to sell? Oh, hey, stuff like that. So it's kind of hard probably to do like the sponsored marketing. So I haven't looked into all that stuff, but just organic use, LinkedIn is not bad. But so anyway,
you're teaching me something on
so
that.
Facebook, to me, I feel like that's the behemoth.
Yeah, I mean, you can do your own post, get a business page. So many realtors are like,
You
should
have
I get
to get a business page.
Should I get a business page? Yes. You
And
should not.
do you know why?
Well, because you can't do any promoted content out of a
Very good.
personal page. So at the end of the day, to be able to promote content to people, you actually have to have a business page. You can target it. You can target it per zip codes. With housing, it's a little stricter because of fair housing laws.
Right.
Typically, you've got to do like a 15-mile radius.
Remember the good old days?
When you could just target anything you wanted. And that's not in a bad way, guys.
Sure.
It's just, it was so nice because you could dial into a neighborhood, and if you listed a house in one neighborhood, I could market to just the homes in that neighborhood.
Oh, man.
I mean, open houses, same thing. You could hit, hey, check out this house in your neighborhood, and you could target it. Now, that's
You can
gone.
a little bit. It's just a little bit
ages have
bigger.
gone away, which makes it kind of tough.
Yeah.
And only because when you look at your market share, you could be selling a house in an assisted living, like retirement community, right?
I'm
But
getting
you
a bunch
have
of
to market to
17-year-olds.
18-year-olds and up, right?
A bunch of 18-year-olds are like double-clicking my post. They're like, oh, this is great. And I'm like,
Yeah, 55 and up communities, not the best to have to market to, 70% of people under the age with your marketing dollars.
for some reason, I've got a huge following for Cosby High School kids.
Okay.
Because I must have like put a bunch of posts in that general area. So there's tons of like Cosby High School kids like, oh man, I love this house. And I'm like, well, cool.
In like 4 years, they're going to graduate from college, right? And they're going to be calling you back.
Yeah, it's very cool. But anyways, as you're saying, Facebook, doing the targeted ads, you can only do that if you have a business page, because you can put money into it. And then you can boost posts.
So here's the thing. With Facebook, your lead conversion, maybe it's going to be a little lower. Maybe it's not necessarily everybody looking for houses. Sometimes they're just random.
Clicking it.
But it is one of the cheapest way to pick up leads digitally. I mean, typically, I think our ad spend is probably $3 to $4 a lead on Facebook. With Google pay-per-click, it's probably about $6 to $9 a lead,
Yep.
which that's actually a really good rate for what we do. Some people are actually spending a lot more. But in comparison, if you were to call Zillow and say, "Hey, I'd like this zip code, please," typically it's going to be about $350 a number, at least in our market, for one lead. And I'm not saying that they don't convert, because a lot of mega teams out there, they spend $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month in Zillow. But if you're a new agent that's listening to this,
That's
and
not
I said,
an option.
yeah, hey, Zillow's cool, just give us $30,000 a month. Most likely you're trying to scrap together $30,000 the first year in real estate, right?
There's tons of things you can do for marketing on social media yourself, and starting off with, and just pulling back the being afraid to be on camera has got to go away. People always think, oh, I'm not interesting on camera. And it's like, no. Marketing, you've got to do that. This day and age with anything, even real estate nowadays.
Yeah. But most people don't. And I mean, I talk to people, and I know people that do a ton of business, and I'll say, well, what's your CRM you're using? No, we don't use CRM. I'm like, what's the, how are you getting leads? And I'm like, no, it's all word of mouth. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. The majority of my business is word of mouth. I actually divvy out all of the leads to the team. I don't take any leads in personally as the team lead other than the stuff that's just recurring business. So you can get to that point in real estate where you're not really working on leads, but when you're starting, you don't really have anybody referring you because you haven't sold anything yet. So social is really good for cheap. You've got Realtor.com, you've got Trulia, you've got Zillow, you've got all of these third-party websites that you can buy leads from. Again, pricing-wise, they're going to be a lot higher. What do you think about mail pieces, Galen?
Like mailers? Mm-hmm. Like in like
on
1998?
On paper? Yeah.
It's a touchy subject because you don't want to offend anyone. I personally don't check my mail every day.
Yeah, like once a week.
Maybe if someone's like, hey, go out and check the mail, because I don't expect anything mail. All my bills come in the email. Or, I just know the automatic draft, so I don't really check anything. So there was a time, like 2 years ago, I sunk a bunch of money into some mailers. I had my pretty face on there, Studio 77 took the pictures, all that great. And I got maybe like one or two, but it wasn't like anything where I literally the next month after I sent those out, spend a fraction, infinitesimally small amount of money on something else online, and got a ton of people like asking questions. And that was like I was like, if I would have used that initial honk of money,
the big chunk
of money I just spent on this, like things would have been very different, very quicker. So personally, I don't do mailers any longer. That's a personal choice.
So I'm going to throw out the statistics to this.
Fire away.
I used to be in ad sales, and they will work. But
for sure.
The thing with ad sales when it's in print, and really anything, is that the statistic is that people have to see it 4 to 6 times before they even realize they're seeing it. So if you're going to go this route, one, realize it's not cheap. You have to pay to print these things, and you have to pay to mail them out. And you can use things like Every Door Direct Mail. If you've never heard of it, it's EDDM. It's through the post office.
That's what I used.
You get 17.5 cents, I believe, right now is the rate to mail out instead of 40 cents, right? So it makes it cheaper, but you're going to be in for $600 to $2,000 a month typically on a small amount of houses, right? Mm-hmm. So the way I look at it is the impact. Remember we talked about our numbers? We talked about, well, know your numbers. If I can hit this many people, how many responses am I going to get? Well, we know that with $2,000 into social media, we can probably have about 100,000 hits on social versus $2,000 into printing. If that gets me to, 1,000 homes, that's 1% of what I can hit socially. And again, not to say that the market is captured on either one, right? You're going to have people that blow through your post and they don't look at it. You also have people that look on the mail and throw it out and don't look at it. I would just suggest that if you want to do mail, you simply farm a neighborhood, whether it's your neighborhood or one that you want to keep, and you just stay on it every single month. This is something where I've had agents that have had success with it, but they live in the neighborhood and they're pumping it out every month for a decade straight, right? And
dominate your own market.
But again, if you're new, it's a really expensive budget for the turnaround, I think.
Yeah.
So now, where are we at time-wise? 32 minutes. All right, so let's do this.
So now that we
yes,
those are ideas where you get leads. Now you got the lead.
Conversion.
What do I do with it?
Yeah, because
now I get the shiny little lead.
This is where most people fail, and I say this because of this. A lot of agents can come in and they can be on a team, and they actually don't have to get leads, so that they can be on a team or have a system where they'll get leads. If you're with EXP, you're given KV Core, which is a CRM, and you can give them like $60 a post, and we're getting, I think, like 20, 30 leads out of $60. It's crazy. It's super cheap.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, let's say you're doing a program like that. If you have questions on KV Core, EXP ads, if you're with them already, let us know. We're happy to help you set up your ad plans. But if you get 60 leads a month, 70 leads a month, the problem that I see the most often is that these agents don't call at all. They get busy, or they're not busy, or they call once, don't get the person, and then they leave it alone.
Set it up right.
So what do we have to do?
So for what we do for us, we've got a lot of Facebook leads, and those are going to be a little bit cold because it's people that sometimes they're just clicking. And as you mentioned, I'm the king of texting. I will text you. I'll text my friends and family. I generally will not start by texting a lead. And a lot of people don't get there like, oh, just shoot them a text. You almost want to be annoying to them. I'm going to call you on day 1. I'm going to call you on day 2. I'm going to call you on day 3.
Yeah, he is.
Day 4, probably day 5. I'm going to keep calling you. Now, I'm not going to leave a voicemail every time. The first one, but I'm going to call you at different times of the day just so that you start seeing this number and you're like, what is this? Who is this? Now, you might answer and say, hey, go die. That's fine. That is
Galen's
okay
like,
with me.
awesome.
Yeah,
Can do.
Sorry, brother. Sorry.
Yeah, it happens. I don't take offense. I don't internalize it. Hey, go die. Hey, no problem at all. I can try. So I know, guess what? They're not a lead.
Move on.
Yeah, move on.
As one of our agent friends says, dial till they die.
Dial till they die. Smile and
right.
dial. It's a cash register.
That's
so
it.
you keep calling them on the telephone. You cannot text them because I get a lot of texts and I ignore most of them because it's like, oh, it's an advertisement or something. But so when they call me, even if it's a telemarketer, sometimes you're just like, all right, if the same number keeps calling, eventually, it wouldn't curiosity. You just be like, all right, hey, what do you want?
Oh, it's a real person.
Yeah, one's
Okay.
human. I got a call the other day. This is the best one. I called and I was like, hello, this is Galen Parker with the Davis Group. Hello? And I was like, hello? Are you a real person? That's what she said to me. And like, I was dying. She started laughing. She was like, sometimes it's like a robot. I'm like, I'm a real boy.
Yeah.
I'm a Pinocchio real boy.
That's awesome.
And I was like, I noticed that you had registered on Central VA Realty. I'm a senior team member on the team. I just wanted to see how I could help you. And she was like, oh, and we went through the whole gambit and all that stuff. And it wasn't a good time for her right now as far as buying a house. But it helped, it was because I called her several times. It's very rare that anyone answers me on the first call.
Yeah.
I just know that. And I think a lot of agents have to embrace the fact that they're not going to, one, they're probably not going to answer the first time. 2, you're not annoying them
Yep.
in the sense that you're like, oh, I don't want to be a bother.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you want to pay your bills?
Yes.
Do you, it's like your mortgage come up and you're like, oh, I don't want to be a bother.
Exactly.
I'm like, no, you want to pay the bills. You got car notes. I got a car payment now.
Yeah, that's right.
So now I got to call. Now I was like, I got to pay this car payment. So you got to call. It doesn't matter. It's not a personal thing. You don't want to bother. It's like why don't you want to bother a total stranger? It's like you'll never meet them.
Here's the thing: 100 people. You call all of them. Your best case scenario is that 90 of them actually will get back to you and tell you to get lost. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That means there's 90 less people that you have to call, text, email, keep in your database. You trash them. You get rid of them. Our software that we use, not only do we dial out as soon as the lead comes in, but we also have a separate artificial intelligence that will start sending them messages
These are top secrets. Don't tell anybody.
And they will, we have action plans, so emails and texts for the agent so that the agent doesn't actually have to text and email every day. It'll do it for them. But then if they respond, then they can pick up the conversation.
You can immediately jump in.
But I'll have sometimes agents will call me and they're like, well, all I'm getting is people that are just telling me to get lost. I'm like,
Good.
That's amazing. Because if it was just up to you making calls, you probably wouldn't have reached any of them. And then we'd be trashing them without knowing. So I love hearing someone tell me to get lost.
Yeah.
Because it saves me time.
Don't be afraid to dial the number. Don't be afraid to. And so what we've done on our team, every Monday, I have created a Zoom link. It's called The Only Person Who Can Reject You Is You. And I just say, listen, if you need help calling, log into the Zoom link. You can watch me call. I will call with you. I will critique your call if you want. You can give me a number and I'll call. Hey, this person, I think they said go die, but I'm not sure. Can you call me?
Sure.
Maybe they'll tell me to go die. So it's
right.
so then we'll be sure. But we block that time out. That's another part we'll get to that second. It's important to block out your time because you got to do it regularly. Some people are like, oh, I got to it this day and I didn't get to that day. Well, if you keep rolling them over, well, it's going to come to Friday. Now you got 100 calls and you're going to be miserable because you're just like, oh, it's like, well, why don't you do 20 a day?
And I have to stop you right there because of that. That leads to one of the most important points. As you said, don't be afraid to call. We take it a step further. Don't be afraid to call the second the lead comes in. Because people register and then people think, well, it's really creepy if I call this person the second they register at my website or the second they see
are
an
you guys
ad.
gonna be best friends later?
Car dealerships do it all day.
Oh my
Because they get it. So here's the thing.
Who you telling?
Yeah.
I made so many new friends this past week.
Here's the numbers, all right? They actually did a study on this, and I've sent this to all of my agents. I try to get them to look at this. If you call the second it comes in, within that hour, some people will say, well, I'll call them tomorrow. Let's just say you wait an hour, 1 hour. Now you're on hour 2. You are 450% less likely to get this person on the phone now within an hour. So people are like, oh, 1 day is not a big deal. No, 1 day it makes all the difference between selling and converting and not. So if you don't want to call as an agent, great. Guess what? Our team's going to, and we're going to convert them, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what we see in the most agent. And since I've been in this business, that's what I've noticed out of everybody that makes calls. It's really weird calling them, and they're like, I just registered. Yeah, and if they were looking for a house, they're going to be like, wow. You guys are on top of it. So you go 450% down from hour 1 to 2. Then you drop 900% down from hour, I think, 0 to 2 to 3. And then by the time you're down to 6 hours, I mean, you should see the chart. I mean, it's hardly anything.
There have definitely been times when I'm like too busy, so I have called him the next day. It's surprising. People are like, I didn't register there. I'm like,
I've never seen a house.
I'm looking at the data showing like you were there for 4 hours. You had 8 searches.
Yeah, I can like favorited homes.
Yeah, I was like, you searched this one. They're like, that wasn't me, and I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
100%.
So if you can call them immediately,
you gotta catch them in the act.
Yeah, exactly.
What
are you doing? You got your phone open. I can see your stuff on the internet. What are you doing?
That's right. They're like,
are you real?
Throw their computer.
Are you a real person? I am a real person.
Throw your computer out the window.
Don't let this voice fool you. I'm a real boy.
So here's the other thing in the stats. It takes up to 6 contacts typically to be able to make contact. So it says essentially over 30% of leads are never followed up on after the initial contact. Mm-hmm. That infuriates me because I know what we spend on leads, and that means that only 70% of them are even getting called twice. And I guarantee if you looked at the real numbers, probably about 90% aren't getting called 6 times. Yet the numbers show that your chance of making contact only happens, 90% is at that 6th contact. So that goes back to the print, right? They have to see you multiple times, hear from you to be able to do anything. Now, days of week. You said you do your calls on Monday. I have bad news for you.
No. I do my calls. I do the Zoom call on Monday. I do calls every day of the week.
He does. Him and Nate are my shining call stars in the team. They
call
crush
stars
it.
Trademark.
That's right. You have a 46% less likely chance of getting a hold of somebody on a Monday versus a Wednesday. So
that's good to know.
Wednesday and Thursday are your top call days and your best times. What do you think?
Oof, lay it on me.
What do you think? I want to hear your guess. Your 2 top slots.
Let's play the game. All right,
I'm going to say. I know for me personally, on Wednesdays, I call between 10 and 12 and 4 and 6.
All right, I'm going to say. Oh man, I'm going to say about the same.
Well, y'all would have been right. You are 10:30 to 12:30 pretty much, and then 3:30 to 5:30.
Yeah.
So lunch breaks for people, then they're getting off work, right? You call somebody at 7 in the morning. I mean,
that's a bad idea.
But you know what I mean? Again, you have agents that work out their jobs, so they're like, "Well, I have a 9 to 5, so I'll make some calls at 8
a.m. calls,
or I'll make calls at 7:30 or 8 at night." You know what I mean? Once I'm off work and everything. And again, night's actually not that bad, depending as long as it doesn't get too late.
Yeah.
But I'm just throwing the stats out there.
The only reason I read some of those stats, and then I thought, for 10 years I worked for a Fortune 200 company, and I knew how the day worked. Between 7:30 and 9, I was really busy. Between 10 and 12, I was not that busy because I was like, all right, 12 o'clock lunch. And so your day winds, has life. After lunch, between that 12 and 3, don't talk to me because I'm super busy. So I thought about that. I said, well, when was I busy? So I was like, let me not call them in the middle of that. So I called them at de-stressed times. De-stressed times were when people are like, they're winding down mentally from their day. And so they're more willing to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, that's it. Anything else we're missing right now? What do you think? Conversion. Anything else? We talked about staying on it.
Don't be afraid. Now, preface that there's nothing wrong with texting and email. I do all of those things, but my go-to bread and butter is going to be the telephone.
Yeah.
Because it rings, people hear it, they're going to look wrong, and then a lot of times if they don't answer, I'll send them a text message. They're like, "Oh, okay, that's who it is." They're not going to respond.
Yeah.
But 2 days later, when I call again, they're like, "Oh, okay."
You should definitely work your calls and emails in. I mean, your texts and emails, 100%.
Built it into
it's a whole system.
It's a packet.
So the main thing is that you don't just go to emailing this person. You don't call because you think, "Well, I'm sending 10 emails this week. I made 10 contacts." Yeah, not really. You really do need. They need to hear your voice. They need
I've
the
actually
voicemails.
stopped counting those as contacts, like emails and stuff like. And I got to hear a voice.
Yep.
Before I think of a contact, unless it's someone that I know.
Get yourself some action plans, right? There's coaching companies out there that'll set all these things up for you, and you can automate all of these emails and texts so that you're not having to sit up. And that time can be spent with you on the phones doing what you need to be doing. And that's dialing for dollars.
Dialing for dollars.
As a real estate agent, that's what it's about.
I love it. I like it. I think this was good.
I do too.
I hope people, understand it. If they have any questions, or if you're thinking, I need some help calling or just someone to listen to me, there's nothing like role playing. Happy to help. That Monday Zoom link, that's for everybody. So if you've got, or if you're thinking to yourself, hey, I'm awesome at this, I want to pass this information on to someone else, hey, get in contact. We would love to have other people, maybe what I'm doing is wrong. Maybe what you're doing is right. We'd love to, do our own mastermind.
Yeah.
That's a big word that I'm almost tired of at this point.
Mastermind.
Mastermind.
Everything's
mastermind.
a
We're all
mastermind
masterminding. That's right. Mastermind, mega minding, mastermind. I'm like, all right. But let's sit down. We'll compare some thoughts.
All right. If we missed anything, if you have any suggestions of what you want to hear on the podcast, let us know. Let us know your thoughts on converting, on getting leads. Maybe you can comment up on how you're getting leads, what's working for you.
How are you crushing it in your market?
That's right. And keep watching us. We're trying to come at you live every single week. And then on top of that, follow us on social media _The Davis Group.
We didn't tell them about the special thing that's coming out.
I know. We put it in the announcements.
Pizza Wars. That's all right. I'm going to say.
That's it.
That's all I'm going to say. Pizza Wars. We'll tell you more about it next time.
I think that's plenty. All right. Hit us up. 804-536-6100 for my number, __ The Davis Group on Instagram. And Galen?
Galen Parker, 804-274-9016.
See, he has the radio voice.
That's the one I use on the calls.
That's right. Thanks for watching, guys.
Have a good one.
Or listening. We'll see you next week.
If you have a real estate question that you would like to ask Jared or Galen, reach out to them at jared@centralvarealty.com or Galen@centralvarealty.com. Who knows? It may even be featured on an upcoming episode.